The May 10th, 2022 meeting of the Monroe County Legislature will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Alcoffer. Here. Mr. Alcoffer is present. Ms. Barnhart.
Here.
Ms. Barnhart is present. Mr. Baines. Here. Mr. Baines is present. Mr. Blankley. Here. Mr. Blankley is present. Mr. Brew. Here. Mr. Brew is present. Mr. Burgess. Here. Mr. Burgess is present. Mr. Colby. Here. Mr. Colby is present. Mr. Delahanty. Here. Mr. Delahanty is present. Ms. Delvecchio Hoffman.
Present.
Ms. Delvecchio Hoffman is present. Mrs. DeFlorio.
Here.
Mrs. DeFlorio is present. Mr. Gondorfer.
Here.
Mr. Gondorfer is present. Mr. Frazier is excused. Ms. Hasman.
Here.
Ms. Hasman is present. Mr. Hebert. Here. Mr. Hebert is present. Ms. Hugh Smith.
Here.
Ms. Hugh Smith is present. Mr. Johns.
Here.
Mr. Johns is present. Mr. Keller.
Here.
Mr. Keller is present. President Lamar is excused. Mr. Long. Here. Mr. Long is present. Mr. Mafuji. Here. Mr. Mafuji is present. Mr. Marinetti.
Here.
Mr. Marinetti is present. Mr. McCabe. Here. Mr. McCabe is present. Mr. Milne. Here. Mr. Milne is present. Ms. Roman.
Here.
Ms. Roman is present. Ms. Smith.
Here.
Ms. Smith is present. Ms. Taylor.
Here.
Ms. Taylor is present. Ms. Vasquez Simmons.
Here.
Ms. Vasquez Simmons is present. Ms. Vecchio.
Here.
Ms. Vecchio is present. And Mr. Udelson. Here. Mr. Udelson is present.
Before we get started, I'd just like to welcome former County Legislator Bill Gillette, who's joining us in the audience this evening. Thank you for being here. Please stay seated. I'd like to introduce Deacon Joe Placius of Holy Cross Church, who's been invited by Legislator Don Dorfer to lead us in a moment of prayer.
Good evening. I'm very honored to be here this evening. I'm not as popular as the four-legged friends that are going to come out, but I believe that prayer is more important. So I'd ask at this moment if you'd please place yourself in front of your higher power. And those of us that follow the Roman Catholic faith, as we should do all things in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. O Lord our God, we ask you to abundantly bless these dedicated public servants and assist them in their tireless work on behalf of the people of Monroe County. Give them clear minds and understanding hearts to know your will. Give them the wisdom of King Solomon to govern his people. Fill them with courage and resolve and deep humility. Help them to listen attentively to one another and to work diligently with one another to find solutions to the challenges we all face as a community. So many have worked so hard and so long. Let them not be dismayed or even discouraged. May the Prince of Peace reign in our streets and protect the brave men and women of our police and fire departments. Lord, continue to be with our military deployed throughout the world, particularly the men and women from our own hometowns, and watch over their families wherever they may be. We give you praise, O Lord, and we give you thanks for our many gifts and blessings, some gifts and blessings known only to you, especially our most precious gifts of life and liberty. We all pray this together. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Deacon. I have a certificate for you on behalf of the Legislature. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Please stand as Legislator Alcoffer will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Legislator Alcoffer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I ask that you remain standing. Without objection, we will take agenda item number 32 out of the regular agenda order. Agenda item number 32 is moved by Legislator Brew, seconded by Legislator Roman. Will the clerk please read the resolution in memoriam for James Sauer, Mercy Flight pilot, U.S. Army veteran and former police officer?
Expressing regret of the Monroe County Legislature on the recent passing of James E. Sauer, Mercy Flight pilot, U.S. Army veteran, and former police officer. Be it resolved that the Monroe County Legislature hereby expresses its deepest sympathy at the recent passing of James E. Sauer. And whereas James Sauer passed away tragically on Tuesday, April 26, 2022, at the age of 60. And whereas James was born on July 12, 1961, to loving parents Eugene and Joyce Sauer. Loving both his family and his country, James quickly dedicated his life to serving both, enlisting in the United States Army in 1979. James was deployed multiple times, including Operations Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom, Restore Hope, Desert Storm, and others. And whereas following his military service, James dedicated himself to serving his community in numerous other roles, including the Rochester and Holly Police Departments, a volunteer firefighter, a pilot with the United States Army National Guard, Bill Law Aviation, American Eagle, and the New York State Police Department. Following his retirement from the New York State Police and the New York State Army National Guard, James began a career with Mercy Flight, continuing his service to the community even further. And whereas in his personal life, James was passionate in his love for family and faith and was dedicated to serving the same. He was a dedicated member of Open Door Baptist Church, serving through ministry. Along with his wife and co-pilot, Marie, he enjoyed farming and was always seeking new adventures and business. Whereas James is survived by his loving wife of 39 years, Marie Sauer, his son, Joshua and Julie Sauer, his daughter, Laura and Jeff Ames, his grandchildren, McKaylee, Christiana, Jacob, Olivia, Gavin, and Grace, his siblings, Karen and Herman Schultz, Susan and James Flagg, Shirley and Robert Viteri, and Jerry and Pamela Sauer, several nieces and nephews, and countless friends and coworkers. Whereas Jim will be remembered for his love of community and family and his dedication to giving all his heart and life to the same. And be it further resolved that the clerk of the legislature is hereby requested to forward a copy of this resolution to the bereaved family. This resolution was adopted unanimously, with each legislator rising in his or her place for a moment of silence.
Thank you. Please be seated. The next item on the agenda is the approval of journal. There are copies of the journal of day 5 of 2022, April 12th, 2022, and day 6 of 2022, April 26th, 2022 are available through Novus Agenda. Without exception, the journal will stand approved as submitted. I'd just like to remind legislators that all mics are still considered live while streaming on YouTube. Legislators, the referrals submitted to the legislature for the next committee cycle are available on Novus Agenda as well as online. There are several proclamations scheduled this evening. Mr. Clerk.
Would Rita Wagner and Anna Potter please come forward? Also, Legislator Jackie Smith and Legislator Tracy DeFloor.
Whereas pet therapy is an extremely important service provided to hundreds of members of our community. This service includes animal-assisted therapy and other animal-assisted activities. And whereas animal-assisted therapy continues to grow through utilizing dogs and other animals to help individuals recover from or cope with a variety of health issues. And whereas these services are utilized by Monroe County residents dealing with stress, anxiety, depression, to those who are visually impaired, dealing with PTSD, and more. And whereas the animal therapy teams serving across our community have proven through results the value and essentialness of their services. The dedicated members of these teams, often known as handlers, serve residents of all ages, in all settings, in all backgrounds. And whereas commemorating Animal Therapy Day in Monroe County will further display the importance of these services and support their continued growth. benefiting the public health of our community and all those served by such services, future recipients, and now, therefore, we, Sabrina Lamar, President, Jackie Smith, Legislator District 2, and Tracy DeFlorio, Legislator District 3, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby proclaim April 30th, 2022 to be Therapy Animal Day in Monroe County. Do you guys have any? Want to say anything?
No, just thank you. I think you can. No? Right.
Would representatives from Emergency Medical Services Field please come forward? Also, Legislator Paul Dorfer and Legislator George Heber.
Whereas emergency medical services are a vital public service provided by first responders who put others before themselves each day. The members of emergency medical teams stand ready 24/7 to provide life-saving care to anyone in our community who requires it. Monroe County is home to hundreds of these dedicated public servants who give up their lives to protect ours. And whereas emergency medical services continue to drastically improve the care and recovery of individuals experiencing sudden illness or injury. These services have grown even further to provide critical, mobile out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the essential services provided by emergency medical service organizations result from thousands of hours of specialized training and continued education of volunteer and career first responders. These first responders include emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and more. And whereas it is essential to recognize the value, dedication, and accomplishments of all of Monroe County's emergency medical service providers and those who make their operations possible. And now, therefore, we, Sabrina Lamar, President, Paul Dorfer, Public Safety Chair, and George Hebert, Legislator District 15, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby proclaim the week of May 15th to May 21st, 2022 to be Emergency Medical Services Week in Monroe County.
Good afternoon, assembled legislators and guests. Thank you very much on behalf of the Emergency Medical Services of Monroe County and the state of New York as New York State EMS County Council Chair. I thank you for your recognition today. We stand here today on the brink of a situation where we've never faced before: the need for emergency medical services, the need for community support for our programs to save lives. The ability of us to go forth and save those lives depends on folks like yourselves and able to give us the help and the support that we need, and to be able to go out and educate our community members, to give such programs as community CPR and community paramedicine hope, so that we can save those folks who are at home as well as those folks who need to be taken to the hospital. Thank you very much for your time today. We appreciate your support. God bless.
Would representatives from the Gates Garden Club please come forward? Also, Legislator Frank Alcoffer and Legislator Yver Chabon.
Hey, Frank. That's for you guys to know.
We're not as exciting as the dogs.
Whereas the Gates Garden Club, founded in 1968 and a member of the Federated Garden Clubs of New York State, has served the local community for over a quarter century. The club continues to grow in membership and promote gardening, education, and related environmental issues across Gates and the local area. And whereas the Gates Garden Club donates a wreath to the George Eastman Museum each Christmas, provides a rose for the local Memorial Day recognition, hosts a daycare program for those with multiple sclerosis, and maintains several local gardens, including one for over 40 years at Gates Community Center and one at the Ronald McDonald House, all while participating in overall civic beautification of our area. And whereas the continual goal of the club is to provide demonstrations and information on plants in a diverse landscape as a commitment to bring the community together and provide instruction. And whereas the dedicated members of the Gates Garden Club, many being years-long members, deserve recognition of their important volunteer public service. The club is a vital part of our community and successfully strives to make the town of Gates and Monroe County an even more beautiful place to live, work, and play. And now, therefore, we, Sabrina Lamar, President, Yavesh Roman, Minority Leader, and Frank X. Alcoffer, Legislator, District 4, on behalf of the entire Monroe County Legislature, do hereby recognize and honor Gates Garden Club for their dedication and service to the town of Gates and Monroe County.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Sue Ciceri. I'm the president of the Garden Club. Just want to thank Frank Alcoffer for the opportunity to see the Monroe County Legislature in action. And the Gates Garden Club appreciates the town, especially Bill Gillette, our historian, and former chief Jim Van Broder, for supporting our goals. We try to provide educational resources to promote the love of gardening and to arouse interest in environmental concerns, promote civic beautification of our roadsides, and we do plant the town gardens and the pots that are placed all along Buffalo Road, if you've been down there. And they're enjoyed by the bees and the butterflies, and as well as the town people of Gates. Thank you for this honor. Appreciate it.
Would Kevin Walker please come forward? Also, Legislator Mercedes Vasquez-Simmons.
The Monroe County Legislature recognizes Kevin Walker, whereas it is a sense of this legislature to honor and celebrate the people and organizations that make Monroe County a better place to live. And whereas attendant to such concern, the legislature is justly proud to honor Kevin Walker. And whereas Kevin has been a community servant for many years, dedicating his life to youth in Rochester and using boxing as a conduit. And whereas Kevin grew up in the city's 19th Ward neighborhood and is the eldest of 7 kids raised by a single mother and helped by his 2 grandfathers, Gary Walker and Willie Clark. And whereas Kevin attended Edison Tech High School and Bryan and Stratton College, and whereas Kevin is also known by his students and mentees as Coach K. And whereas Coach K teaches life skills to young people such as discipline, self-control, and self-confidence. And whereas he has used sport, primarily boxing, to reach and guide over 100 youth who are often written off as unreachable. And whereas he has promoted mixed martial arts and boxing in the Rochester area and has woven coaching those sports into the fabric of this community. And now, therefore, let it be known that we, Brian Marionetti, Vice President, and Mercedes Vasquez-Simmons, Legislator, District 22, do hereby honor Kevin Walker on this 10th day of May 2022.
Hello. thank you, everyone. I literally almost shedded a tear just now. I just got like, I'm hiding behind the shades, but thank you for everything. And the family, friends, and extended family, thank you so much for coming out. I'm like speechless. Thank you so much.
There are no formal committee reports scheduled for this evening. We will now hold the public forum. We have several people registered to address the legislature. Mr. Clerk?
If you require assistance, a deputy is available to assist you in approaching the lectern. And I will call you each one at a time. Each speaker will have 2 minutes in which to address the legislature. And kindly conclude your remarks when the timer sounds. And please exit through the back of the chambers. Thank you for your cooperation. Our first speaker is Terrence Schnurr.
Mr. Vice President, legislators, in a few weeks, you'll be asked to pass judgment on a redistricting plan reported by the Legislative Redistricting Commission. Your threshold question before delving into the particular details of the map should be whether the plan complies with the law. The Commission's draft does not, particularly with respect to non-dilution of minority vote and compactness. I posted a map on the published maps page of davesredistricting.com entitled Monroe County Proposal to Commission, both as a suggestion to the Commission, but more importantly, as a practicable example of a map that more closely follows the priorities required by Section 34.4 of New York State Municipal Home Rule Law. Thank you and have a good night.
Our next speaker is Eugene Nolan.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, legislators. My name is Gene Nolan, and I am Monroe County Chairman of Scope, and I've been here before. Some of you recognize me, some of you say, go away. No, I'm not going away. We're here to talk a little bit about refreshing the facts that we have presented to you over the last 6 months on County Code Section 323-28. And that's the carry of handguns, concealed handguns in our parks. I just want to review a few events that have happened in our parks, just so that there is some crime going on in parks and it can be prevented. On September 2021 in Durant Eastman Park, there was a fatal stabbing. In May 2021, 2 men hospitalized on Ontario Beach Park after shooting. In June 2021, this is not gun related, but 20 illegal off-road vehicles were confiscated. And apparently they've been terrorizing a lot of people in the parks. So the sheriffs and the state troopers combined to stop it. But they also said, you need to have our presence here all the time to permanently fix the problem. That's not going to happen. We don't have enough law enforcement. May 2018 in Ellison Park, a man was shot attending a shower near the Pavilion Lodge. Now, can all these crimes be prevented by people who carry legal concealed weapons. As I said many times before, probably not all of them, but personal protection is paramount here. It is a legal right and it's been taken away, and we'd like to have it taken back. And just as a footnote, just in the city of Rochester alone last year, there were 81 homicides. And out of the 81 homicides, the ones that were concerned with shootings, not one legal pistol permit holder was involved. Not one. Just this week, weekend shots were fired at a family in Scottsville Park. And that certainly doesn't prevent a margin of safety in these county parks. Please review this plan. Amend this law. Give the law-abiding citizens a chance to protect themselves. Concentrate on punishing the criminals and not giving them a get-out-of-jail-free card. Thank you. Mr. Clerk. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Candy Tabor.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to share a little more information again. My name is Candy Tabor. I am Secretary for Monroe County Scope. This evening, I want to share with you 5 incidents from our local area where law-abiding registered gun owners thwarted criminal activity. December 21, 2021. A 23-year-old man was arrested for allegedly choking and punching his girlfriend in an argument. He was arrested, taken into custody, and sent to jail, arraigned the following morning, and released. He returned to his girlfriend's house and threatened to hurt her. She called the police and her father. Her father arrived first. During the altercation that pursued, the father shot the aggressor and protected himself and his daughter. October 2021, an intruder enters an unattached building on a homeowner's property. The property owner encounters the trespasser and shot the alleged burglar. December 2020, there's a string of armed convenience store robberies that started in Victor and ended on Thurston Road when an owner-employee shot the suspect. December 2020 in Leroy, a 19-year-old man crept into a home while 2 residents were sleeping. The residents were woken by the cell phone light. They confronted the trespasser in the upstairs hallway. They held him unarmed at gunpoint until the police arrived. November 2019, an elderly couple are watching TV at 9 p.m. when there's a knock at the door. The husband answered the door crack, but it was immediately pushed open, and the perpetrator allegedly put a gun to his face and said, "This is a robbery. Get me your money or I'm going to kill you." It ended when the homeowner shot the intruder with birdshot, then called the police. They arrived 15 minutes later. These are real local incidents where law-abiding citizens protected themselves and their property from harm. We have the right to do so. This law infringes upon that right. Please consider it. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Stephen Jackson.
Hi, my name is Stephen Jackson, and I'm the Vice Chairman of Monroe County Chapter of Scope. I'm here seeking to have Monroe County Code 323-28 amended so that we may carry our firearms in our parks to defend ourselves and our families. I just want to remind everyone here of two things. The Second Amendment says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Additionally, the oath Monroe County legislatures took, I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of blank according to the best of my abilities. There are many moments in history that will always be remembered. The signing of the Declaration of Independence, the formation of the United States of America, the freeing of slaves, the Great Depression, the Roaring '20s. These events have many smaller events that lead up to either a great terror or a great freedom in our nation. One event that could be forever ingrained in history is the day that Monroe County Legislature decided to change the code so that people can defend themselves. You, the Monroe County Legislature, have the opportunity to do something good. You can change the course of destiny in Monroe County. You can change the course of history by restoring the rights of the people as required by the oath you took to the Constitution. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Bob Ah.
I spoke to the Public Safety Committee about the public defender process. As the 2-minute timer went off, I turned to the chair. I was sure I'd be less than 2 minutes. The chair, with a warm, wry smile like he has right now, asked, "Did you practice in the mirror to keep it under 2 minutes?" I replied, "I try not to look in the mirror much. What I too often see is less and less hair off the top of my head." We grinned and went on. When I got home that night, I looked in the mirror. What I saw was my conscience, and that's why I'm here tonight. The public defender process has been fraught with politics from its start on both sides of the aisle. The selection committee showed an egregious pattern of who it selected as qualified candidates. One candidate so highly regarded in the legal community, she served as president of the Bar Association, so esteemed, our outgoing public defender named her acting public defender. For public defender, he said, "I cannot recommend her highly enough." Yet by secret ballot, the committee eliminated her from even a second interview. The committee's 4 finalists, too, did not meet minimum qualifications. Now you have 2 candidates the committee deemed as the most qualified of all who applied. Once again, one candidate does not meet the legislature's required minimum qualifications that you put in the job description. You are not responsible for the utter untenable position the selection committee has put you in. The committee's alarming process and practices are irredeemable. What the legislature can do is establish integrity and take restorative action to address damage already done. Paul, I have now 2 short paragraphs. I brought 3 olive branches with me tonight. One for the president who's not here, and I hope you'll pass it on. As I leave, I will place 1 olive branch on each side of the aisle. My hope is that each caucus picks up their branch, hands it to the opposite side. Soon you'll begin your process. We all can put politics and personal animus aside. Instead, begin and end your selection by merit. Appoint who is the best experienced, most accomplished credentials, the most extraordinary background. that the public defender's office deserves.
Our next speaker is Van Smith.
Good evening. My name is Van Smith. I am the founder and executive director of Recovery Houses of Rochester. We're a sober living community here located in the city of Rochester. And I'm back before you again because I shared some information with you that came down through legislation on the state legislator, where the governor has recognized sober living in communities and is looking to, we're in the process of that voluntary certification. And I'm simply here to just be able to share that we are already partners with Monroe County in regards to providing transitional housing through the Department of Health and Human Services here. And last year, through that contract, we served 85 men. 10 of those men are now reestablished with their families, unduplicated, for under $100,000. 85 men. And I'm here to just say that we're here. We've been in this community for almost 20 years now, doing the work that we do. And we believe that as we look at building relationships, we want to be able to further establish our relationship with Monroe County. I will just say, folks often ask, why are you so passionate about this work? Because I was once one of those men. On April 27th, I recognized 32 years clean, drug-free, have worked in the substance abuse arena. And I don't share that to say, look at me. I share that to say, I want to be transparent and be the voice for those men that will not come out publicly and share their recovery because of the stigma. Thank you.
This concludes the public forum.
We will now proceed with consideration of motions, resolutions, and notices. Will the clerk read the next item on the agenda?
Item number 1, referral 22-0120, accepting 2 grants from New York State Department of Environmental Conservation for non-point source planning, Monroe County Recycling Center Green Infrastructure Feasibility Study, and Climate Smart Communities Climate Action Plan.
Moved. Second. Moved by legislator McCabe, seconded by legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 2, referral 22-0121, authorizing contract with McFarland Johnson for design services for the rehabilitation of aircraft rescue and firefighting facility project at Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport.
Move it, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Moved by legislator McCabe, seconded by legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 3, referral 22-0122, amending 2022-2027 capital improvement program to add projects entitled Robot Center Rehabilitation and improvements.
Move it, Mr. Vice President.
Second.
Second.
Moved by legislator McCabe, seconded by legislator Delahanty and legislator Roman. Is there any discussion?
Legislator Roman?
Yes, you have the floor, legislator Roman.
I just want to take a moment tonight to thank the administration for their work alongside Charlotte Community Association as well as other governing bodies to ensure that resources are being adequately given to the Robotics Center. After countless emails, pictures of water inside of the Robotics Center that were received by the Parks Department, they continue to respond to the needs of the community. And I really appreciate the opportunity to work alongside the Parks Department to continue to highlight the need for the Robotics Center. I know that this is one step in the right direction, and just wanted to again thank the administration for taking the time to work alongside the community that was actively seeking resources for such a great facility in our community. Thanks.
Any further discussion? Okay, I would just like to echo the comments already made on the Robot Community Center. I know it is certainly needed and certainly appreciated. So thank you for that, the administration. All right, no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 4, referral 22-0122.BR, resolution authorizing the issuance of $944,000 bonds of the County of Monroe, New York, to finance the cost of the Robotics Center rehabilitation and improvements project in and for said county at an estimated maximum cost of $944,000.
Move it, Mr. Vice President.
Second.
Moved by legislator McCabe, seconded by legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 5, referral 22-0123, accepting grant from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services for CARES Act Provider Relief Fund, HHS Stimulus Phase 4, to address the financial impact of COVID-19 at Monroe Community Hospital.
Move it, Mr. Vice President.
Second.
Moved by legislator Milne, seconded by legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Yes. Legislator Dorfer.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Through you to the administration, with the closing of the Fairport Baptist Home, obviously there's a concern that we want to keep MCH moving strong. What's the current state of their finances at MCH?
Mr. Vice President, it's a rather broad question. I guess I will answer that our 2021 financial audit is just about wrapping up. So I don't have an audited figure to get you, but Monroe County has been supporting ongoing operations at MCH and has the financial position to continue supporting the operations at MCH into the future.
Great, thank you very much.
Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 6, referral 22-0125, amending resolution 522 of 2021, accepting additional funding from health research for overdose data to action program, Office of the Medical Examiner's Forensic Toxicology Laboratory.
Move it, Mr. Vice President.
Second.
Moved by legislator Milne, seconded by legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion?
Legislator Smith.
Yes, you have the floor.
Through the Vice President's administration, I was informed that our toxicology cases have been trending about 12 months on average behind, with our 3 different medical examiners working on cases. I have no doubt they're working very hard to get these cases done in a timely fashion. Is there anything this legislative body can do to help them, if that's increasing the salary to obtain and retain medical examiners, or even increase budgets for general staffing to help with the backlog of testing?
The chair, thank you for your question. We are in the process of bringing on a fourth medical examiner. It will be the first time in my tenure as commissioner that we'll have 4 medical examiners, so I'm very excited about that possibility. The backlog in toxicology, unfortunately, is unrelated to the presence of medical examiners because the toxicology lab process takes a certain amount of time. And the volume of cases is what generally leads to the delay. And so we can affect the delay by having fewer cases. And so the goal for the health department obviously is to minimize the number of cases as much as possible.
Thank you.
Legislator Dorfer.
Yes, Legislator Dunbar.
Through you to the administration, if I could just follow up on that. Are there more machines that could be purchased to do more testing at any given time? Or is it like, are the machines set with X amount of samples that they can have? Is there more machinery that we can purchase to speed that up?
Through the chair, the process of analyzing these specimens is complicated. Some of the specimens are sent out to a reference lab who can process them more quickly. A certain amount of the specimens are done locally because we need the results right away for criminal proceedings and whatnot. We can certainly look at it again. We have made capital improvements every year since I've been here in the toxicology laboratory. So I think the real challenge is the complexity of the analyses and the fact that there are so many specimens to analyze.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 7, referral 22-0126, authorizing contracts for preschool special education program.
Move it, Mr. Vice President.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Milne, seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 8, referral 22-0127, accepting combined grant from the New York State Department of Health and authorizing intermunicipal agreement with the city of Rochester for childhood lead poisoning prevention program.
Second.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Hebert, seconded by Legislators Milne, Delahanty. Okay, did you get clerk? Did you get also seconded by Legislator Vasquez? Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 9, referral 22-0128, accepting grant from New York State Office of Children and Family Services for the Child Care Facilitated Enrollment Program.
Move it, Mr. Vice President.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Milne, seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 10, referral 22-0129, accepting grant from New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance for the Pandemic Emergency Assistance Program.
Move it, Mr. Vice President.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Milne, seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 11, referral 22-0130, accepting grant from New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance for the Rental Supplement Program.
Move it, Mr. Vice President.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Milne, seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 12, referral number 22-0131, accepting funding from New York State Office of Addiction Services and supports and amend Resolution 517 of 2021, authorizing contracts for the provision of mental health, developmental disability, and alcoholism and substance abuse services in 2022 for the Monroe County Office of Mental Health.
Move this, Mr. Vice President.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Milne, seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 13, referral 22-0132, accepting grant from New York State Office for the Aging for Unmet Need Program and amending Resolution 519 of 2021 for authorizing contract for Monroe County Office for the Aging programs in 2022-2023.
And move this, Mr. Vice President.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Milne, seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Vice President, I'd like to declare my interest.
Okay, noted. Any other discussion? Yes, Legislator Milne. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 14, referral 22-0133, accepting grant from Genesee Transportation Council for Monroe County High Accident Location Program.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Keller, seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 15, referral 22-0134, authorizing intermunicipal agreements with Genesee and Livingston counties for forensic laboratory services provided by the Monroe County Crime Laboratory.
Move this, Vice President.
Second. Second.
Moved by Legislator Hebert, seconded by Legislators Dorfer and Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 16, referral 22-0135, accepting grant from New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services for Operation Stone Garden Program and authorizing intermunicipal agreements with the towns of Greece, Veronica, and Webster.
Move this, Vice President.
Second. Second.
Moved by Legislator Hebert, seconded by Legislators Dorfer and Delahanty. Is there any discussion?
Legislator Delbecq Walker.
Yes, you have the floor.
I'd like to read into the record a letter I received today from Carly Fox and Stevie Vargas, the chair and co-chair of the New York State Working Families Party. It came to my attention today that tonight the county legislature will vote on a bill to approve funding for cooperation and collaboration between the Border Patrol and local law enforcement. I hope that you will consider voting no to this bill. As you know, ours is a region with robust agricultural production and the labor force is primarily immigrant. Increasing collaboration between local law enforcement and immigrant officials contributes to unsafe communities because our neighbors fear rather than trust law enforcement. A simple traffic stop can and has led to a deportation pipeline permanently separating families. As consumers of the food that our neighbors are here to harvest, and as citizens of a region that greatly benefits from the fruits of their labor, we have a moral obligation to respect their human right to feel safe. I hope that tonight you will vote against the grant from the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services for the Operation Stone Garden Program, which would authorize intermunicipal agreements with the towns of Greece, Veronica, and Webster. That concludes the comments from the chair and co-chair of the Working Families Party. My comments are that it is unfair that we ask our documented neighbors to grow and harvest our food while living in fear of our law enforcement system. They are already particularly vulnerable because if they stick up for themselves in any way, whether it be at work or school or legally or civically, they can be severely retaliated against in a way that I wouldn't be retaliated against under the same conditions. This is not healthy or safe for them or for our community at large if there are folks in our community who do not feel like they can stick up for themselves or go to the authorities if they need to. I'd like to encourage my colleagues to vote no on this. Sometimes I vote alone on these types of referrals. I've been told to pick my battles, and I'm going to ask that my colleagues go ahead and pick a battle today and join me in voting no on this referral.
Any further discussion?
Legislator Smith.
Legislator Vecchio, I think you were next, and then we'll go. Okay, noted. Yes, Legislator, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With no disrespect to the individual men and women in uniform who seek to serve our county, and with the acknowledgement that some law enforcement leaders have found Operation Stone Garden's performance metrics to be increasingly in tension with crime reduction procedures. I want to explain that I will be voting no. Additionally, as an educator for 20 years at high schools, colleges, and universities across New York State, I have had occasion to teach students who have been directly impacted by what is our federal government's failed immigration policy, an experience shared by other educators living in District 14 here in Monroe County. As such, I was asked to share a statement written in Spanish pero mi español es muy mal, so since my Spanish is so bad, I will ask my colleague, Legislator Vasquez Simmons, to read it on my behalf.
Yes.
La comunidad inmigrante no somos criminales. Somos trabajadores que aportamos mucho al Estado y necesitamos sentirnos seguros. Nuestras familias deben sentirse seguros. Nuestros hijos no tienen que tener más miedo que sus padres un día no regresarán a casa. Pasar una ley que protege a miles de inmigrantes es dar un paso más. Nueva York debe poner el ejemplo que de verdad importa a los inmigrantes. El racismo y la discriminación deben de terminar. Y esa es una manera de dar a saber que somos un estado santuario, donde las vidas importan, donde podemos sentir seguridad que nuestra policía local y no tener más miedo de salir. Solo así vamos a darles a nuestros hijos la seguridad que no habrá nunca más separación de familias en un derecho humano vivir con tranquilidad. In summary, what was said is that the immigrant community are not criminals. They're hardworking people who have given much to this country. They do not want their children to fear their safety, that one day, after coming from a long day of work, that they're not going to return home. They fear of the impact that it has on their children with the separation. This is my personal comment. I will also be voting no. I work with children day in and day out, and some of them are facing immigration issues. And I know the impact that breaking families has on children. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Yes, Legislator Blaney.
Through you, Mr. Vice President, this contract goes back to 2021 and goes all the way to 2024. Can you explain the timeline of the contract, why it's backdated so far and so dated so far forward? And how are the funds figured going forward? Are they additional funds or is this all inclusive?
Through the chair, Jennifer Curley from the Sheriff's Office. By the time it gets FEMA approval and then approval at the state, it takes time. So the contract doesn't really start until it's approved here. And there is no additional money.
Any further discussion? Yes, Legislator Dorfer.
Through you, Mr. Vice President, to the Sheriff's Administration. It was briefly touched on in committees, but can you describe some of the work that gets done with this grant, please?
Through you, Mr. Vice President, Chief Deputy Mike Fowler. Sir, the work that's done with this grant is all about border safety. It's about preventing and identifying criminals and hazardous devices that are coming across the border. We have no interest in immigration. That is not our priority. The focus is on safety.
Thank you, sir. I have no further one.
Any further discussion? All right, if not, I think we'll go to a roll call vote. Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Brew.
Yes.
Mr. Brew votes yes. Ms. Roman.
Yes.
Ms. Roman votes yes. Mr. Alcoffer.
Yes.
Mr. Alcoffer votes yes. Ms. Barnhart.
No.
Ms. Barnhart votes no. Mr. Baines.
Yes.
Mr. Baines votes yes. Mr. Blankley.
No.
Mr. Blankley votes no. Mr. Burgess.
Yes.
Mr. Burgess votes yes. Mr. Colby.
Yes.
Mr. Colby votes yes. Mr. Delahanty.
Yes.
Mr. Delahanty votes yes. Ms. Delvecchio Hoffman.
No.
Ms. Delvecchio Hoffman votes no. Mrs. DeFlorio.
Yes.
Mrs. DeFlorio votes yes. Mr. Gondorfer.
Yes.
Gondorfer votes yes. Mr. Frazier is excused. Ms. Hasman.
No.
Ms. Hasman votes no. Mr. Hebert.
Yes.
Mr. Hebert votes yes. Ms. Hughes Smith.
No.
Ms. Hughes Smith votes no. Mr. Johns.
Yes.
Mr. Johns votes yes. Mr. Keller.
Yes.
Mr. Keller votes yes. Mr. Long.
Yes.
Mr. Long votes yes. Mr. Mafuji.
Yes.
Mr. Mafuji votes yes. Mr. Marinetti.
Yes.
Mr. Marinetti votes yes. Mr. McCabe.
Yes.
Mr. McCabe votes yes. Mr. Milne.
Yes.
Mr. Milne votes yes. Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Smith votes yes. Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor votes yes. Ms. Vasquez Simmons?
No.
Ms. Vasquez Simmons votes no. Ms. Vecchio?
Yes.
Ms. Vecchio votes yes. Mr. Udelson?
Yes.
Mr. Udelson votes yes, and President Lamar is excused. 21-6, resolution passes.
Okay, that item carries. Next item.
Item number 17, referral 22-0136, authorizing intermunicipal agreement with Rochester City School District for administrative and education liaison provider with Raise the Age.
Second. Moved by legislator Hebert, seconded by legislators Don Dorfer and Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 18, referral 22-0137, amending resolution 40 of 2021, authorizing intermunicipal agreements with municipalities within Monroe County for the live scan equipment grant program.
Second. Moved by legislator Hebert, seconded by legislators Don Dorfer and Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Yes, legislator Beck. Noted. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? There was one.
Yes, the roll call.
Roll call?
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Mr. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Brew votes yes. Ms. Roman?
Yes.
Ms. Roman votes yes. Mr. Alcoffer?
Yes.
Mr. Alcoffer votes yes. Ms. Barnhart?
Yes.
Ms. Barnhart votes yes. Mr. Baines?
Yes.
Mr. Baines votes yes. Mr. Blankley?
Yes.
Mr. Blankley votes yes. Mr. Burgess?
Yes.
Mr. Burgess votes yes. Mr. Colby?
Yes.
Mr. Colby votes yes. Mr. Delahanty?
Yes.
Mr. Delahanty votes yes. Ms. Delvecchio Hoffman? Ms. Delvecchio Hoffman votes no. Mrs. DeFlorio?
Yeah.
Mr. DeFlorio votes yes. Mr. Dondorfer?
Yes.
Mr. Dondorfer votes yes. Mr. Frazier is excused. Ms. Hasman?
Yes.
Ms. Hasman votes yes. Mr. Hebert?
Yes.
Mr. Hebert votes yes. Ms. Hughes Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes Smith votes yes. Mr. Johns? Mr. Johns votes yes. Mr. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Keller votes yes. Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Long votes yes. Mr. Marinetti?
Yes.
Mr. Marinetti votes yes. Mr. Mafuji?
Yes.
Mr. Mafuji votes yes. Mr. McCabe?
Yes.
Mr. McCabe votes yes. Mr. Milne?
Yes.
Mr. Milne votes yes. Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Smith votes yes. Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor votes yes. Ms. Vasquez Simmons?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez Simmons votes yes. Ms. Vecchio?
Yes.
Ms. Vecchio votes yes. Mr. Udelson?
Yes.
Mr. Udelson votes yes. President Lamar is excused. 26-1, resolution passes.
That item carries. Next item.
Item number 19, referral 22-0138, authorizing renaming the Regional Traffic Operations Center located at 1155 Scottsville Road, the James Arcon Regional Traffic Operations Center.
Second.
Second.
Moved by legislator Keller, seconded. Anyone who would wish to second, I'd ask if you just raise your hand and the clerk can note. Second.
I have Mr. Baines, Mr. Colby, Mr. Delahanty, Mr. Johns, Mr. Mafuji, and Mr. Milne seconding that. Is there anybody else that wishes to be on?
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 20, referral 22-0139, authorizing memorializing section of Clarkson, Parma Town Line Road in the towns of Clarkson and Parma to honor our nation's fallen firefighters and their families.
Second.
Moved by legislator Keller, seconded by legislator Smith. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Yep, multiple seconds also. Multiple seconds. All right, we're going to do the same thing. Please raise your hand if you wish to second. Clerk can note the seconds. All right, any discussion? Yes, legislators.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. We're very grateful for the men and women who are part of the fire departments throughout Monroe County. We would like to thank each one of them for their service to our community. It feels great knowing that people are so willing to help their neighbors who need it in the most crucial times. From our nation's inception, firefighters throughout the country have answered the call of their towns and villages by arriving at dangerous and unpredictable scenes, as well as other disasters. They have placed their lives at risk too often with tragic consequences. Our country lost 141 firefighters in the line of duty in 2021. It was an honor to have worked on this project with our county partners to memorialize a portion of the Clarkson-Parma Town Line Road to honor our nation's fallen firefighters and their families for their brave and selfless service to our communities. This location is significant given that Deerfield Country Club hosts the annual Fallen Fighters Foundation Golf Tournament and fundraiser, it being their 15th year. This is the first time Monroe County has ever memorialized a road. We know the nation's fallen firefighters and their families are worthy of this memorialization. I want to thank fellow county legislator Keller from Parma who worked on this, along with Tom Fries from Monroe County Transportation, Brian Riley from Monroe County Legal Department, the county executive, for all their support and work on this referral. Thank you.
Legislator Cummings.
Thank you. Thank you to my fellow legislator Smith for her work on this. And thank you to the administration for your support, and to my fellow legislators for your support of this as well. It's a great privilege to be a part of this. I know that we all feel it's worthy and appropriate to honor those that have given their lives in service to others. As those who serve in dangerous professions know, that you stand together with support from brothers and sisters on either side, and often it's the families that suffer alone. And so I'd like to just express my great appreciation that the families of those fallen are also honored in this. It's my prayer that this small gesture of appreciation grants eternal memory to those that have fallen and a measure of healing to the families. Thank you.
Thank you, Legislator. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 21, referral 22-0140, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement with the city of Rochester to provide tracking, oversight, and evaluation services regarding the Raise Commission's recommendations.
Vice President.
Moved by Legislator Hebert. Second. Seconded by Legislators Milne and Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 22, referral 22-0147, authorizing 2 contracts with McFarland Johnson for design and construction administration services for the refurbished replacement of passenger loading bridges project at the Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport.
Move it, Mr. Vice President.
Second. Moved by Legislator McCabe, seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 23, referral number 22-0147.BR, resolution authorizing the issuance of $11 million bonds of the County of Monroe, New York to finance the cost of refurbishment or replacement of passenger loading bridges at the Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport, and for said county at an estimated maximum cost of $11 million, and superseding the bond resolution adopted on December 14, 2021, resolution number 444 of 2021.
Move it, Mr. Vice President.
Second. Moved by Legislator McCabe, seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 24, referral 22-0148.BR, resolution authorizing the issuance of $3.1 million bonds of the County of Monroe, New York to finance the cost of Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport access circulation roadway improvements and enforce said county at an estimated maximum cost of $3.1 million and superseding the bond resolution adopted on December 14, 2021, resolution number 449 of 2021.
Move it, Mr. Vice President.
Second. Moved by legislator McCabe, seconded by legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 25, referral number 22-0149.BR, resolution authorizing the issuance of $3.1 million bonds of the County of Monroe, New York, to finance the cost of the rehabilitation of Taxiway A at the Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport in and for said county at an estimated maximum cost of $3.1 million and superseding the bond resolution adopted on December 14, 2021, resolution number 450 of 2021.
Move it, Mr. Vice President.
Second. Moved by legislator McCabe, seconded by legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 26, referral 22-0152, amending 2022-2027 capital improvement program to add projects entitled Frontier Field Facility and Patron Improvements, accepting grant from New York State, amending resolution 10 of 2022, increasing contract with SWBR Architecture, Engineering and Landscape Architecture, and authorizing implementation of project labor agreement for Frontier Field capital projects.
Move it, Mr. Vice President.
Second. Moved by legislator McCabe, seconded by legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 27, referral number 22-0152.BR, resolution authorizing the issuance of $11 million bonds of the County of Monroe, New York, to finance the cost of the Frontier Field Facility and Patron Improvements Project in and for said county at an estimated maximum cost of $11 million.
Move it, Mr. Vice President.
Second. Moved by legislator McCabe, seconded by legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 28, referral number 22-0157, authorizing appropriation transfer for inaugural Monroe County Veterans Day Parade.
Move it, Mr. Vice President. Second.
Moved by legislator Alcoffer, seconded by legislator Hebert, Keller, Johns. Okay, keep your hands raised, please, Mr. Clerk, if you want to just mark down.
Okay, seconding, I have Ms. Roman, Mr. Baines, Mr. Burgess, Mr. Hebert, Mr. Johns, Mr. Keller, Mr. Mafuji, Ms. Vasquez Simmons, and Ms. Vecchio. Am I missing anybody? Cave and Delahanty. Okay.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 29, referral 22-0158, authorizing intermunicipal agreement with school districts for security assistance and crowd control at special events.
Move it, Mr. Vice President.
Second. Moved by legislator Hebert, seconded by legislators Dorfer, Delahanty, and Mafuji. Is there any discussion? Yes, legislator Smith.
Through the Vice President to the administration, could you give us a list of the school districts that are part of the intermunicipal agreements? Thank you. IMA.
Through the Vice President, Paul Simonelli, for the Sheriff's Office. We've done these referrals before based on one specific school district or one specific school, and brings a lot of repetitive work in front of you. So this one has been reworked for this year to allow us to, and many times the school districts come very late in the schedule to do this. So as I sit here today, there's only one school district that has requested so far this year, but we anticipate typically we get 2 to 3 and sometimes more as the school year goes on, especially in prom season.
Thank you. Through the Vice President to the administration, would you state that possibly this could be for every Monroe County school, or are you just look at certain schools? What's the criteria, I guess?
The criteria, in my experience, the last 4 years has been any school that's requested it, we've tried to accommodate.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Any further discussion? Yes, Legislator Beck. Noted. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 30, referral 22-0159, requesting the Legislature of the State of New York pursuant to Article 9 of the Constitution to enact into law Senate Bill number S-8682 entitled An Act to Amend the Retirement and Social Security Law in relation to the retirement of deputy sheriffs civil in the county of Monroe.
Move, Mr. Vice President. Second.
Moved by Legislator Dorfer, seconded by Legislator Delahanty. Is there any discussion? Oh. Hands raised, please, Mr. Clerk. Any discussion? Yes, Legislator Florio.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Through you to the administration, I do have a few questions with regards to this referral, although I do strongly support it in concept. Through you to the administration, how many positions are currently in this bargaining unit?
Through the Vice President, Paul Simonelli from the Sheriff's Office, currently there are 9 positions.
9? As in 1 less than 10?
1 less than 10.
Okay, just wanted to make sure it wasn't 90. And if this referral were to pass today, and it is my understanding that it's was submitted as a matter of urgency because it has to get passed by the state before the end of the legislative calendar. So presuming all of that happens, how many individuals in this bargaining unit would be eligible to retire immediately?
Of the 9, 3 would be eligible.
And then how many additional would be eligible to retire next year?
Through the Vice President, 0 next year.
Okay. So that's at least a third of the bargaining unit would be eligible to retire immediately. Do you have a plan in place for training and backfill replacement if that were to happen immediately?
Through the Vice President, we do in fact have a plan in place. This is the smallest bureau, 9 members, and while all the members are certified as police officers, going forward, the plan will be to backfill any openings that occur with our current road patrol officers as a specialized assignment rather than completely as a separate bureau. The remaining 6 will be grandfathered to stay that way, but ultimately down the line when all of those folks retire or go someplace else, this will be absorbed by the road patrol. It'll be 1 less bargaining unit within the sheriff's office then, and it'll also give significant enhanced capabilities. This will be 9 more people that are ready to fulfill any duties of the road patrol should a need arise in a special situation.
Thank you. So read my mind in terms of the next question, and that was why didn't you make it 20 years as opposed to 25 to make it align with the current road patrol?
The duties that they currently carry out are slightly different than what the road patrol does. The other bargaining units within the sheriff's office are at 25 years, both the court and the jail bureau. So the majority of the members of the sheriff's office are at 25 years, and it seemed the appropriate balance given the actual limited job description that they have compared to a typical road patrol deputy.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Yes, I just wanted to thank the administration, the sheriff's administration, along with Assemblyman Josh Jensen for bringing this forward on the state level and getting them more in line with everybody else. So thank you.
Any further discussion? Legislator Beckman.
I would like to declare my interest, however, I do have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Administration. If this were to happen and this gentleman retire, you backfill with road patrol, I'm assuming you're going to then offer a test. How are these new recruits going to be tested? Will they be tested as road patrol deputies? Or will it be a civil test until all 9 of them backfill with road patrol?
Through the Vice President, any future individual assigned to that bureau would be coming from would be a member of the road patrol. And so the civil service testing that would occur would be the civil service testing for road patrol. And as those positions are emptied by the current civil deputies, there'll be a shift in the number of civil deputies on our manning chart versus road patrol deputies. So for every net loss on the civil chart, there would be a gain on the road patrol chart.
One more question. I'd like to know, I guess, how short right now the road patrol is. Do you have open positions that are not filled? For the life. I'm sorry.
Through the Vice President,
One quick second, just because I think some members didn't hear the question. Would you mind restating the question?
I'm just wondering how short right now the road patrol is. If you are short numbers, how you can backfill into civil if you're currently short.
through the Vice President, we are currently in the selection process for the next academy class. We're going through the backgrounds and selection process right now. And that number, understanding, I think, and I don't have the exact number with me right now, but I think the road patrol is short 8 people, 8 deputies right now. And the number of members, or the number of selectees for this next class will cover that and other anticipated losses within the road patrol.
Thank you, sir.
Any further discussion? Yes, Legislator Baines.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. In my former life, I negotiated for 650 families, and I'm well aware of, I'm explaining my book, I'm well aware of how inequities or perceived inequities within the public service can be extremely negative for the morale of public employees. And ever since I was elected, we've seen this administration, and in this case, I want to applaud the makers of the motion and offer my support to Assembly Member Jensen. I think this is an outstanding example of how we can point out ways to make our treatment of public employees more equitable. So this is an outstanding motion. I'm looking forward to voting yes. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Item number 31, referral 22-0160, requesting the Legislature of the State of New York pursuant to Article 9 of the Constitution to enact into law Senate Bill number 89440, entitled An Act to Amend the Retirement and Social Security Law in relation to the retirement of deputy sheriffs, civil, in the County of Monroe.
Move it, Mr. Vice President.
Second. Moved by Legislator Dorfer, second by, all right, please keep your hands raised for a second. discussion? Yes, Legislator Becky. So noted. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. There being no unfinished business, Legislator Brew.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. This honorable body stands adjourned, Monroe County Legislature. And it is scheduled, our next scheduled meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, June 14th, 2022 at 6 p.m.